cannabis segment. So I'm with Andrew out of Bend, Oregon. And Andrew, could you briefly introduce yourself and your company? And then I want to talk about that intersection of accounting and compliance and regulation.
Yes. Hello, everybody. And I will give the high level is that I started in cannabis accounting. I'm a CPA for almost 25 years. Started serving cannabis clients and quickly realized the compliance, whether it's IRS or state or federal or OSHA, is very complex in this niche. And there was just almost nothing out there on the accounting side. None of the big or mid-tier firms were in the space. So they didn't have, normally in most industries, they would have industry guides and trained staff. They don't have that here. GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting principles, there is nothing here. QuickBooks even, normally they would have a chart of accounts and a POS system. Don't have it, still don't have it. Xero doesn't have it. So it's kind of the Wild West in accounting. So that's where we started.
No, that's good. So a couple questions. One would be on our site, the 411 on 420.biz, we recently interviewed Steve Marks, who's the head of the Liquor and Cannabis Control Board for the state of Oregon. And that was a very interesting set of interviews I'd encourage people to watch. But one of it we talked about revenue, and the state of Oregon is very interested in revenue that would go to the state of Oregon from the cannabis sector. And so that puts us, let's start with that. That puts us squarely in the accounting realm. And so I believe you told me as we got to know each other that there's a little bit of insanity in terms of the quality of the bookkeeping and accounting in this industry.
Yeah, so right now, currently what happened when Colorado legalized in Washington, Oregon, California now, you had bookkeepers that are good bookkeepers trained in QuickBooks, maybe had some accounting background, but had no cannabis accounting training, didn't have a correct chart of accounts, don't really know how to do cost accounting. That's kind of an advanced topic for a CPA, and the CPAs just weren't there. And so you had people doing the best they could, but it just wasn't up to snuff. Yeah. So now as the IRS, we all know the IRS is always, 3-4 years behind on audits. So now as they're coming in and auditing those early years, these cannabis CEOs are having a very bad surprise. And we tell them they're sitting often on a ticking time bomb. They have no idea that their books are bad or out of compliance. They have no idea that they're going to owe the IRS. And that's even before you talk to the states.
I was going to say, we haven't even gotten to the states.
So that's the revenue side, and the revenue side should be pretty simple. So that's the top line of the accounting financial is just, I sold $1 million this month. I owe the state of Oregon, 17%. I need to go pay them. So we have, even just as simple as getting revenue right. We've got POS system. This ties into your software issue. There's probably 100 to 200 cannabis POS systems out there right now. They're all in their early years, which means what? They all don't work well because it's many, many years to develop a good piece of software on a complicated topic. And so that again creates a lot of work for us as accountants to go in and reconcile each month and try to figure out, wait a minute, why does the POS system say we sold 800 grand, but only 700 grand went into the bank or whatever?
Yeah. Now, are you aware of different taxation jurisdictions? And let me give you the context. Up here in Seattle, we're very proud of Avalara, an online sales tax calculation startup. And what they, in traditional e-commerce, the city's going to get a penny, the county's going to get a penny, the state's going to get a penny, the IRS is going to get 2 pennies. Do you see that in the cannabis industry, the different jurisdictions that you have to report into?
I haven't seen actually the software yet for that, but yes, so you have.
No, and I meant the concept, right. The
concept, what I would say, but yes, definitely. Every little piece wants a part, and that portrays in the compliance, not just they each want a part of the money, also just they each have their own set of rules, and some of them are accounting rules, and some of them are just. Could be security, could be how many days of backup tape you need to keep, or how tall your fence is if you're a farm. So you've got to be on top of a lot of rules.
Yeah. And do any one or two you have any tales from the trenches in terms of the accounting process bumping right into compliance and regulatory? Where I love tales from the trenches. You're welcome to autonomize the client's name.
Yeah, well, the tales in the trenches, I wouldn't even say keeping it secret. Go out on Google if you're interested in reading some of these big cases. They're very entertaining to read. They're about 50, 60 pages long. You can Google them easy. Harborside, Alterman case, alternative healthcare, recent rulings, and they show you all they're talking about is accounting and how it's done wrong and everything from, in one case, the Altermans, they recorded they were buying their marijuana before they sold it from Home Depot and Lowe's. And the judge thought that was unlikely. But so they're actually very humorous, some of these things to read, but those stories, but we're seeing more and more stuff with people, everything from going to jail to Sweet Leaf being shut down in Colorado, 16 dispensaries, a $50 million operation.
Wow.
And we're finding a fair amount of people, which I don't get this. You've got the black market we all know about. The West Coast, the black market for many years. And now you've got the white market, which is extremely difficult to stay compliant with all these things. But some people are trying to come into this, what they call the gray market, which I think is just, that's the worst game. If you're going to be in the black market, just stay there. If you think you're going to move over a couple of notches and do half your things right, that's going to end up hurting you and biting you in the butt. You either need to do everything right, or you might as well just stay in the black market.
Yeah, it's interesting because of course we track the industry here at the 411 and 420, and just the other day I heard of a processor. So they make edibles, and apparently, allegedly, I was told that they crossed the yellow line and were doing some stuff over in the black market, and they got busted. They got shut down, and as they should.
Yeah, we've seen that happen several times in Colorado, here in Oregon as well, and they will catch you. And a lot of people are trying to, and I can understand some of it. Their prices in Oregon have crashed, and so if you're trying to run a farm and the price of weed that you can sell it is less than it costs you to produce, you're going to be out of business if you're not well capitalized. And so it is hard. And then, or issues like in Bend, Oregon, here we have 23 dispensaries. They'll come in, they'll do an underage sting. I don't know if they probably do this in Washington too.
Yeah, they did one of those. Yep, I'm aware of one of those.
And Bend, Oregon passed, but it's funny how these people, even though they're competitors, they like once two or three of them had been hit, the word quickly got around that the sting was on. And so it's interesting that these firms that compete normally also will work together.
Actually, I'll end on that because one of the initiatives we're undertaking, think of it as a little bit of a sidebar over here, but we're working with the state regulators to bring the industry together in, for lack of a better word, I call it peer groups. And because that's the state of the nation, right? These organizations compete, but it's kind of a blue ocean out there. Yeah. No pun intended, a green field. And so they're better off to work together in peer groups, right, and solve these problems. And the state regulators want to participate with the industry. It's actually pretty friendly, maybe compared to other hardcore established businesses. But quickly, final word is, if we have a CPA or bookkeeper watching, I have your URL beneath us on the screen. But give me 1 minute on a training program you do for CPAs and bookkeepers so they might click through.
Yeah, so at dopecfo.com, we actually have a button you can click and watch a webinar. But basically, we started accidentally. People were coming to me for help, and so that evolved into a program. We now have 200 CPAs, bookkeepers, EAs, tax prep, the whole gamut. In the program, we teach everything from how we find clients. We have all of our work papers, our chart of accounts, our cost accounting templates that we've developed, their proprietary IP. And so it's just, I tell people it's a huge shortcut. If you're a bookkeeper, you have your own firm, you want into cannabis, or you want to do cannabis better, It's just a very quick way to become an expert in the space and have the tools you need to be successful and charge high fees.
Yeah, I mean, I like your line of reasoning because, people will say, well, the new book I have out on how to be a MSP in the cannabis sector, that took 2 years of my time in research, right? I went to meetups, I met with state regulators, yada, yada, yada. And can you do it without my book? Yes, you can. Or would you rather just pay a fairly modest book price? I set it up as a 90-day program to kind of go chapter by chapter, and I'm trying to sell you time back, right? At the end of the day, you could do what I did.
That's the
and type it
exact.
all out.
Yeah, you could. I did what I did just because I had to. There was no other way to serve my clients, and it did take a couple of years. And I've had that exact conversation with the CPAs. Like, yeah, I could do this myself, but it would take me 500 hours, and so that's quicker. My
All
hour
right.
bucks. So.
Andrew, on behalf of the 411 on 420, thank you for bringing a new conversation, and maybe we'll check back with you semi-annually or quarterly. In fact, I'll come down to Bend, Oregon. How about that?
Well, thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you very much.